Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. Today, I want to focus on 5 things that really can wreck your van life, make you absolutely miserable. And actually, a number of these things would also be very detrimental to you if you're living in a sticks and bricks, if you're not a nomad. I haven't seen very many videos addressing this among nomad YouTubers, but I feel that it's really critical to avoid these 5 things. So come on, let's chat about it, shall we? Oh my, I really wanted to be outside today for a while in nature, but it is so cold here in San Diego. I can't believe how cold it is, even with my warm coat on. But anyhow, back to the 5 things that can make your life miserable, whether you're living as a nomad or whether you're in a stationary residence and sticks and bricks. Number 1, comparing yourself to others. That is, I think, the fastest recipe to being miserable in life. You know, there's always going to be people who are smarter, better looking, more successful, just can plan things on the spur of the moment. There are always going to be things that some people are better than you are. But there are also going to be special gifts that only you bring to the table. And focusing on, or comparing, I should say, yourself to others, I think that's the single most detrimental thing that we can do to ourselves. It's the number 1 self-imposed harm that we inflict upon ourselves. And I encounter a lot of people who, when I make suggestions to them about different things, they will say, well, such and such can do it, I can't do it. And they'll name a list of other people who can do a particular thing better than they can. And I think, wow, what a miserable place to put yourself in. And this is something that is self-imposed and something you can stop. So I would encourage you to, as of today, don't compare yourself to others. I hear people on YouTube all the time talk about, how they're competing with other YouTubers. The only person I compete with is myself. I compete to try and be better tomorrow than I was today. I compete to try and produce better content, more informative videos that are more helpful than the ones I did last year. And so I would say, if you're going to compare yourself to anyone, compare yourself to the you of yesterday and see what you can do to improve the you of today and the you going forward. Number 2, similar, but this is particularly for nomads, comparing your rigs to other rigs, comparing your van or your car or whatever you're living in to what else is out there. I have literally met thousands, and I mean thousands of people in the years that I have been traveling in my van. And I have also interviewed quite a few people. Some of those interviews I aired, some I decided not to air. But I've literally interviewed hundreds of people. And this is something that I hear a lot of if I approach someone to do an interview or to do a tour. They'll say, well, my van really isn't that great. It's not one of these fancy builds. Or they'll say, I don't have anything special in my van. I just have a regular bed. I just have, a bucket for a toilet. So I don't really know that anyone would really be interested in seeing my rig. I've also, at different events that I've attended, or meetups, or open houses on rigs, I will hear people going through and saying, wow, this is so much nicer than mine. Or, wow, I wish I had something like this. Or they'll be making comments about how nice the vehicles we're touring are, and they'll be making really derogatory comments about their rigs. And I think to myself, do you not realize that this is setting you up to be unhappy and dissatisfied in what you're in? Sometimes if there's a rig that I'm interested in touring and it's a really simple build and the person who owns it makes the comment like, well, there's nothing special about my rig, I'll ask them, I'll say, does it meet your needs? Does it function for you? Does it serve the purpose that you need it to serve right now? And they'll almost always say, well, yeah, it's what I need right now. And then I'll tell them, well, that's why it's so valuable to show to other people. But again, I would encourage you, don't compare your rigs to what someone else has. Number 3 is another really big one. And that is letting other people determine your value based on the lifestyle that you're living, whether by choice or out of necessity. I encounter a lot of people on the road who are doing van life or living in a rig full time. And many of them tell me that they don't tell their employers, they don't tell their farmer neighbors, many of them haven't even told family members how they're living. They have been made to feel ashamed or less than because they're living as a nomad. I'm here to tell you, you have nothing, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. If this is the choice that you made, either because you wanted to do it for travel reasons and you wanted to see the country, or because you had to do it out of necessity, you did what was best for you and what works for you at this stage in your life. And no one can tell you that you're less than or make you ashamed, because you have done nothing to be ashamed of, and you are not less than because you live in a vehicle. So do not buy into that when someone tries to impose that on you. Absolutely. That will make you, it'll make you feel less than, which is what they're trying to do. And I'm just saying, reject that. That is so toxic. Speaking of toxic, do not surround yourself with negative people. There's a saying, you are what you eat. Well, I'm here to tell you, you are who you hang around with. If you associate with people over and over and over on a regular basis who are engaging in certain activities, chances are at some point you're going to try or explore those activities. The same concept applies for people who are negative. If you hang around them long enough and hear their negativity on a regular basis, and that's what you're feeding your soul and your mind, eventually you will also become a negative person. If you find that this is what is happening in this group that you're camping with, leave. Find another group. Camp by yourself. It would be better to camp alone or boondock by yourself than be with a group that's going to feed negativity into you. The 5th thing I want to caution you on that will make you absolutely miserable, whether you're a nomad or living in sticks and bricks, is focusing on what is wrong with your life and what is missing in your life. Now, I know that there are many, many people who are living in vehicles because of financial reasons. They really can't pay the outrageous rising rents that are being charged in so many cities these days. So I'm not unrealistic or lacking sympathy for people who do have hard situations. What I'm saying is, if you focus on that, if that's what you think about night and day, if you let it consume you, that it will make you truly, truly miserable. And I can speak from experience, having focused on certain things at certain points in my life, and I had to just let them go because I realized that those thoughts were really eating me alive. And that's what will happen to you. What I would encourage you to do is to instead focus on solutions. Make a list of the things you would like to improve in your life, that you would like to change, and then start making a list of things you could actively do to bring about that change. And focus on the change rather than the problem. Focus on the solution rather than the problem. I can tell you from personal experience, it works. I hope this video has provided a measure of encouragement for someone. And stay tuned, because I'm going to do a video coming up on 5 things that can add happiness and joy to your life, whether you're a nomad or living in sticks and bricks. Love each and every one of you, and I hope and pray your journeys are filled with joy and blessings. Till next time.